Okay, recording this video after close trade Thursday 20th of March 2014. Hope you had a good day's trading. Well, yesterday was exciting. We had FOMC, a huge amount of volatility. It was a massive sell-off and then a massive retrace, short covering rallying all the way back up. And today we kind of closed up 1866 and a quarter, about 1.2 million contracts traded. Exhaustion buy day after yesterday being exhaustion sell day. So it's looking like a little bit of a U-turn kind of here. It's like sell off and then kind of get this thing going. And it looks like we're going to crack to new highs. I'm just going to show you the dollar index chart because I just don't get this market anymore. So now we've got the dollar index rallying because Yellen said yesterday that, well, the interpretation of what she was saying was QE, coming off of QE, the taper is going to keep going and accelerate. And then the amount of time after all the tapering and the end of QE is done, the amount of time between that and raising rates, where people were probably thinking, 18 months, 2 years, she said 6 months. So in everybody's mind, all of a sudden the taper is accelerating and the time between that and rates going up is shortening. So everybody said, well, that's bullish for the dollar. So the dollar index goes up, all the other currencies, forex currencies, sell off. And gold sells off, silver sells off, blah, blah, blah. But the entire rally that we've had in equities has been premised off continuation of massive QE. And what do we know? The equities market continues to go up. So either, the bulls on the equity market are just, they just don't care about either the fundamentals, which we know are pretty weak, or the quantitative easing, which is the argument for the prices to kind of continue up. They don't care about that at all, and they're just buying whatever. So it's interesting. I think, someone's wrong here, but, we've run out of time to turn this thing around. I mean, today's our last shot at turning this around. So 40,500 tip bar chart. This is the highs that we've had up in 1880. Remember, this is kind of the new contract. When we were looking at the old contract, the March contract, these highs were up at 1885, 86 kind of thing. But anyway, so we had our exhaustion patterns. We started to sell off, and I was saying, well, what I'd look for is kind of an exhaustion sell signal at the bottom of this in order to kind of have this kind of complete on the downside. And what we had a very strong bounce back here, and then yesterday's FOMC gave us flush patterns. Support comes in and we ramp back up. So we're back up here at the top of this kind of range, an area where we broke down last time. You can see this spike. That kind of level's important up here in the high 60s. So it just looks like we're going to bust up, maybe put in a resistance line on 40,500 and then break into an uptrend above 70. Unless it rolls over, we've got a couple of blue professional bars at the end of the day. This is it. Basically, this is the last chance to roll over. If it doesn't do it, kind of now, tomorrow morning, we're going to break into another uptrend and go test these highs here. So, as I keep on saying, it's a zombie market, refuses to die. So, kind of go with the flow. And that's what I did this morning. Went with the flow. Short trade straight off the get-go and then into a long trade. So the short trade was a nice setup. Let me just show you the big picture in terms of the way the market rolled today. So initially we had a little bit of exhaustion buy and bearish divergence. Blue professional bars kind of come in here and we sold off. But you can see on the 1500 tip bar chart, this sell-off is being led by the amateurs, amateur down bars, and then Rambo patterns at the bottom of this channel. So the amateurs are all going short down here in the 40s. And then we ramp back up. We were waiting for Philly Fed survey numbers to come out at 9. There's a little bit of kind of Rambo patterns here, and then we broke into an uptrend here. This went to a nice pattern for a rollover, pullback to end of trend, exhaustion buying on a left shoulder, bearish divergence and Rambo patterns, little flat top there. I think we also had bot signals kind of going off here, and we kind of initially sold off. Then the window, 11 a.m. comes around, so that's exactly here. We have not rolled over by 11 a.m. and in fact we're just breaking up through resistance again at this point. There's quite a lot of selling. People wanted to sell this thing down here. The amount of selling that we did in this little kind of move here was quite extreme, but they didn't get any continuation. No one wanted to follow along, and so we got to 11 a.m. We hadn't rolled over, and so we continued to rally. We rallied to another pullback to end of trend. It's just a few points above the previous high. Exact same pattern. Exhaustion on the left shoulder, bearish divergence, flush pattern kind of comes in, pullback to end of trend with an exhaustion pattern there, and we kind of close on the highs. So this one, looks good, but it just wasn't taken up. No one followed along. And then by the time the window, 11 a.m. window, kind of passes, because that's not rolled over, it looks like a beauty. It looks like it's going to go, but it doesn't. The professionals kind of decide, no, we're going to step in, take it back up again, and so that's what they do. So it didn't roll over by 11, so we're still in an uptrend, and so we've had this pattern by the end of the day. So it was a continuation, kind of yesterday's kind of rally, and ended on the highs. Now, the nice little setups that we had today. So first of all, even though we had this kind of weakness here, this was a nice little setup. We had it resistance on the 1500 tip bar chart, and the 500 was a little pullback to end of trend with this little amateur bars up into 52. So you can see they'd initially on this time frame taken profits, blue professional bars here, amateur up bars at that point, and on 4500 it was resistance. So we got a trend move syncing up with a cycle move on a higher time frame for a nice little short trade at the beginning, and that was great for 4 points, one shot, one kill. And then I was waiting for a kind of retest. We got very close to Philly Fed survey numbers kind of coming out, so I was waiting and waiting, and then we're breaking up. I'll show you this on 1500 tip bar chart. So we're breaking up at this point here with Rambo patterns and so on. I'm saying I'm always waiting for blue professional bars to come in before this thing is all over. We break into an uptrend at this point. We're kind of holding, and we've got to go exhaustion and pull back to end of trend. So jumped on board for long trade 52.75 here, because although it was being led by the amateurs and Rambo patterns, we want to see the blue professional bars and breaking the lows of those blue professional bars in order to take profits. So there was a nice little kind of long trade going into that. I just took out 3 on that one, kind of going up. I don't like going long because, I don't know. I don't understand this market. I don't understand why we're still going up. Maybe there's just too many bears in the market like me, and that's why we're going up. But anyway, this is interesting, in terms of dollar index, the way it's kind of going versus the equity markets. We'd have thought the usual logic is that it's either one or the other. It's not kind of both rallying at the same time. But anyway, be interesting to see. Friday, tomorrow tend to be bigger ranges and trend days on Fridays. So let's see what happens tomorrow. See if we do get a rollover at least. Anyway, I'll tag on that second one, because that was I think useful for why you'd still kind of go long at that point. And hope your trading is going well. Okay, just got long 52.75, long 52.75, and just checking stops and targets. This thing just took off. So 9:04 a.m. I think we had Philly Fed survey. Okay, blue professional bars coming in. So is that just a fake out, or is that jumping the creek? So this whole bounce of exhaustion sell down here, we had no blue professional bars. We had this one, we came back into that kind of zone, came back. This is amateur down bars here. That was what was interesting to me, just as we were testing Rambo patterns and then blue professional bar. Not gone exhaustion yet. So we had exhaustion sell, we've got to have exhaustion buy on the merit of that. So we're going to go for that, and this is broken above resistance, got pulled back into trend. So because that's to happen, we've got cyclical support in. This was right on the zero, on the open, sorry. Wasn't really a classic during the full liquidity of the day. So here we go, breaking up for another trend move until we see exhaustion on the left shoulder on 500. I'm already up, already got my one shot, one kill, so okay. We were targeted 55.75. Just get out because we've got 7,000 here. Exhaustion, blue professional bars come in, so come on. Ooh, we're just taking out 55.75. Another 3. Excellent. Now, the reason for getting out there was we got a big reading, 7,000-8,000 here on better momentum, blue professional bar coming in. Exhaustion here. So, just a little bit of left shoulder. Still going up. That's fine. Still going up. The original target 675 just got hit, and pro signal exit comes off here. So yeah, got out a little bit too early. We've still got to go pull back into trend, but still happy with that. This is going to be interesting to see, what happens. We are back at this level, which was where we broke down from this whole business yesterday. So a whole bunch of blue professional bars, exhaustion patterns, so a rollover type pattern potentially lining up there.